Hi everybody, I'm D-Mac for D-Mac Consulting Group, and I was at a medical appointment. I just had this thought that I had to really take time to record because I did not want to lose what the Lord was saying. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to participate in a workshop, and we're talking about systems and processes, and really helping entrepreneurs understand, what it's going to take for them to be successful. And so we talked about wealth and we talked about systems and processes, and then we went over some resources. But even at that particular workshop, I really felt the Lord saying that fruitfulness or fruition rather, it's a matter of faithfulness. Despite where we may find ourselves, right? Despite what you're going through right now, despite the circumstances that you may be experiencing, whether good or bad, God has an expected end for you. Jeremiah 29:11 declares that, He knows the thoughts He has for us, right? And they're thoughts of peace and not of evil, to bring us to an expected end. And so, there are things that God has given us in terms of dreams or visions, right? There is this sense of purpose and just this unction that God has placed in us to accomplish something that only we are able to accomplish. And even though it's His plans for us, we have the responsibility to manage that, right? So whether it's a dream, whether it's, a vision, whatever it is, we still have a responsibility to manage that. And so management is really about faithfulness. God gave Joseph a dream, and, in Joseph's dream, he saw stalks bowing down to, the main stalk. And long story short, it really spoke to the potential that God had put within Joseph for what it is that God wanted to bring to pass in the world through Joseph, right? And I'm trying to be very clear because I need us to understand this is what God is saying to me right now. But I believe that, it's necessary to understand the responsibility that we have as a result of the plans that God has purposed for us. And so, if you look at Joseph, he still had a responsibility to manage, right? Despite his circumstances, everything that he went through, slavery, bondage, losing his heritage, being hated by his brothers, being falsely accused of attempted, rape, being thrown in prison, being forgotten, like everything that he experienced, really, in my mind, I would imagine that he didn't feel that his life had an expected end, and especially not given the direction that his life was headed down. And yet, in Matthew 25, you really see God's expectation, right, regarding the things that He has given us, the things that He has equipped us with to fulfill whatever it is that He has designed for us to fulfill. So, in Matthew 25, he talks about, or there's a parable, right? It talks about how a master gave different talents, different gifts to 3 different individuals. And, for those that really took the opportunity to work what He had given them, right, and to multiply it, to grow it, He gave even more. And to the individual that decided that he was not going to do anything with what God had given him, God really brought judgment on him because of his decision not to manage well what He had given them. And I guess my point in that, right, at the end of this parable, he says, for he who has, more will be given to him, but he who does not have, in other words, if you don't do a great job of management, then even what you have will be taken away. And I think that, that's important to really consider, right? That God expects for us to really manage the dreams, the visions, the purpose, the plans that he has given us, especially because he has given us everything that pertains to what we need to accomplish, right? So he's equipped us with the favor, the resources. He's equipped us with the connections. He's equipped us with, the things that are really necessary to accomplish what he created us to accomplish. And, oftentimes we may not necessarily see what those resources are, but that's the importance of staying connected to God, right? Because he gave us the plans. Like, everything that's in your heart, you didn't come up with that on your own. Understand? Like, that God placed that desire in you. I have such a great desire to really help entrepreneurs thrive, help people in general thrive, right? And it's almost like I feel like I'm supposed to help people birth things out of them, right? It's almost like the role of a midwife, right? Like you're going through like the labor pains, and you're going through just all of these things, and sometimes it causes you to consider like aborting the vision, aborting the child, aborting, this dream that God has given you. And sometimes life tries to create circumstances whereby your vision will not come to pass, right? Where you miscarry that vision. And the enemy, we do have an enemy that we contend with, that tries to prevent God's plans from coming to pass in our lives through our choice, right? Because ultimately, if you really think about it, God gives us the abilities, he gives us the dreams, the plans, whatever, he gives it to us. And then he says, hey, do something with what I gave you. Be careful that you manage what I gave you well. And, just like in Joseph's life, it wasn't like God required him to persevere. He could have chosen to stop. He could have chosen to just throw in the towel, right? And I've been faced with that decision so many times. It's like, if I decide to quit, then I cannot blame anybody for my choice. It is my choice. Now, life may have pushed me to that, point, and life may have frustrated me or broken me, circumstance, whatever it is, may have caused me to make that decision, but ultimately it's my decision, right? God says to each of us, behold, I set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life that you and your descendants may live. And, just like Apostle McCreary was talking about at that workshop, that, wealth comes from God. It's like he originated that, right? It's not a worldly concept. It's really a kingdom concept. And yet the Bible declares that it is he who has given us the ability to get wealth, right? So like God, it's his design. But my point is, that regardless of what you have been purposed to do and accomplish in this earth, it is for a reason. It is to reach a particular set of people. And you may not know exactly how you need to manage this vision or dream, but that's why he puts people like myself, right? People or organizations like Fuel in your life, so that you can learn what you need, right? And what is in you can be birthed out of you. In other words, education is really about birthing out of you what is already present. So it becomes necessary, though, for us to understand, and I guess this is the point of it all, right? That if you want to see that expected end that God has already predestined you to reach, then you have to manage well. Fruition is a matter of faithfulness. You have to be faithful to the vision that God has given you. You have to be determined. You have to persevere. You have to educate yourself. You have to be in the right places, right? In order to get what you need to manage what he's given you. And, how do you know what the right places are? You have to listen. Because you will feel, right, an unction to do something, and or like you're not always going to know off the top of your head, but you have to be in tune with the voice of your creator, because he has the answers and they're his plans. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're really his plans, but fruition is a matter of faithfulness. Can you be faithful to the dream despite your circumstances? Can you be faithful to the vision that he gave you that only you can accomplish despite what you experience in life? Will you continue to persevere and to move forward? Will you continue to overcome no matter what obstacles are thrown in your way, right? Saturday, I talked about that global positioning plan. And, if you really think about it, like, if you know where you are and you know where you're going, there are many routes to get there, but the GPS really accounts for obstacles that may come to prevent you or to delay you, right, in getting to your destination. And you can either, the moment that you encounter obstacles, you can decide, you know what, I'm just going to go back home and, take my clothes off and just, chill and do whatever because I'm so frustrated with being recalculated. Or you can continue on a path, following the step-by-step instructions that you receive from the Holy Spirit, right? To get you to that destination. I mean, how frustrating is it to be so close to giving birth to the vision that he has given you, only to quit? And, if you quit, like, how frustrated would you be to find out that you were almost there? Sometimes when I don't know where I'm going, and I'm talking about a physical location, when I don't know where I am going, I'm a little more cautious, a little more careful to pay attention, right, to what the GPS is telling me. When I do know where I'm going, sometimes I question. It's like, well, why did it take me this way? Like, this way would have been shorter. But the GPS is accounting for traffic, accidents that you may not be aware of. It's accounting for so many things that we're not privy to. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so you really have to be in tune, and you have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional. If you want to see the manifestation of everything that's in your heart, you have to be faithful. You have to be faithful to the process despite what you encounter. So I just want to encourage you today to remain faithful. Keep going, keep pushing, keep moving, keep growing, keep building. Don't stop because it gets hard. Don't stop because of the haters, as we call them, right? Don't stop because of even your own frustrations, right? Don't stop because if it's God's plan, he watches over his word to perform it. So you know that you're more than able or capable of getting to where he would have for you to be. The question really is, what are you going to do? You know, because God can have all the plans in the world. He can give you the potential to get to where he wants you to be, for the purpose for which he wants you to get there is already in you. But the responsibility to carry it out is on you. So dig in and let's go. Let's get it.